This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Bikeworks HMB, your one-stop shop for bike service, sales, and rentals in Half Moon Bay, California. Whether you're on the mountain, road, or low on battery, Bikeworks HMB has your back. So come on down to 520 Kelly Street. Come talk some shop with the boys. All right, I'm GT. Peace out. Enjoy this episode of the podcast. Welcome back to the Between Shifts podcast. I'm Gavin.
I'm Ian. Dave.
Brian Overfelt.
Today's guest is a true Half Moon Bay OG with a big personality and an even bigger impact on the community. From his days playing in metal bands to running one of the town's most loved bars and music venue, he's built more than just a business. He's built a place where people come to connect, unwind, and have a damn good time. He's a family man and someone who brings energy, creativity, and heart into everything he does. Please welcome our friend, your bartender, Brian Overfelt.
Brian, it's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah. It's really nice to be here. And you guys, it means the world to me that you would want to hear my story and have me in here. So thank you.
When we were creating this podcast, we sat down and put names on a piece of paper as to guests that we wanted to have on. And it went, Chris, you, Morgan.
Yeah.
That's how we started, and that's how we're doing it. So.
We almost got that order.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm really stoked to be here. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's pretty easy to start off, something that we can all relate to, but how has, growing up in a small town like Half Moon Bay, just how has that shaped your outlook and your personality and everything like that?
Well, I don't know if you guys know, but I was here when I was really little, and then we left for a while. We left for like 10 years, and I moved back when I was 11. Okay. And right when I started Cunha. And the guys and the girls that I met at Cunha are still my best friends to this day. I'd say 7th grade at Cunha was my best year in school ever, and that includes through college. I could name some of those OGs. You guys all know who they are. And they always said, you got to go down to the breakwater, dude, and surf. You got to learn how to do that. And it just kept coming up. And I brought this up to you, and you texted me, and I made a joke about getting my ass kicked by Mad Dog, Alan Nelson, because I did really bad. And, but it didn't matter. It didn't take anything away. There was something so beautiful about the scene at the breakwater in the 80s. It was a real wave. There was a lot of sand, which we're going to talk about later. And there was a scene there, and people hung out there, and there was a beach community there, and you could feel El Granada there, you know. Your dad would be down there, and Kurt and Ragnar, and I could go on and on about all the people I saw there. But to answer that question in my mind, it always goes back to getting dropped off by my older brother who had a mullet, an old Chevy car, and leave me there all day and pick me up at dark and I would just survive on the beach down there. And it was heavy.
Oh, yeah.
So that scene for me is kind of what shaped me and helped me through all the things I do today.
Now, when he's talking about breakwater, not the barbecue, he's talking about what we know
jetty.
as the jetty. Yeah. And at the time there was a Turkey Overflow, which was the parking lot. Like if you're at the light in El Granada, if you're leaving El Granada and you're turning onto Highway 1, left or right, there's a sign on the light that allows you to go straight, but you can't go straight because it's just the bluff. And that was there because there used to be the Turkey Overflow and breakwaters, the jetty. And yeah. So, but after all that, circling back to your younger days, we know you were an athlete, right? You organized sports were a big part of your life. And I just wanted to ask you about how you see organized sports influencing your life today, and what lessons you've learned from organized sports that you've carried out throughout your life.
I talk to a lot of people that don't like organized sports, you know, they're anti-NFL and MLB and NHL, and it trips me out because when you play organized sports, you make friends, you respect a coach, you get pushed past your limits, right? You try and be the first to finish the suicides up and down the court. I played basketball at Half Moon Bay for my freshman and sophomore year before I just took off with tennis, which sort of shaped a big part of my life. But organized sports teaches you to be part of a team and part of a community, and to sort of take what you're parents tried to teach you to apply that to the coach, to your school, and to your friends. So I think playing organized sports, for me, it was baseball and basketball, and it shapes who you are. And I see it with young boys and girls and men and women, and I think it's super important. And I think that if you can handle yourself on a team and excel in that team, it says a lot about your character and who you can be in life. So a big part of my life for sure.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, because with the whole team aspect, like owning and operating OPL, you're the team captain, and it's really cool because I was thinking with that question that it would translate into that in your life right now, and it's just
Plus, you have a whole nother like father or mother figure to look up to and a coach the whole time.
It's like you learn how to rely on people, like you said, and when you go into a business, you got to go. This is like being on a team, and there's so many similarities between a sports team and a bar and restaurant team. You're only as good as your weakest link. So I let people know that, like when you have a dirtbag working for you, you gotta cut them.
Yeah.
And you let them know. You try and give them chances, and you let them know, like, hey, I can't have you here acting like that and doing those things.
Yeah. Picking daisies in right field ain't gonna cut it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put that. I could put that a few other ways.
Did tennis play a big role in you going to UC Santa Cruz, or was it academics?
No, I played everything. I think I had senioritis really bad at Half Moon Bay High School. I did really well freshman, sophomore, junior year, and then senior year I was done, but I had a high junior ranking. I could have gone to any college in America. I had probably about 10 or 12 scholarship offers. But I was allowed to walk onto any team. I could have played for Harvard, Berkeley, UCLA, to name a few.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to surf and stay close to home. I regret it. I should have gone to a different college. And Santa Cruz was just too it was too hippied out. It was too
3 stoplights from home.
Yeah.
too close to home. I should have gone. I really wish I would have gone to UCLA or Berkeley or even somewhere on the East Coast, but I sort of took the easy way out. But nevertheless, the education was amazing. Ended up studying social justice and sociology, which, I apply every day at the Old Princeton Landing times 10. And, but I kind of wish I would have gone to a different school, to be honest. I felt like I could have got more into an American, maybe, I know this sounds crazy, but a fraternity style school, gotten into a Division I school, played a little bit harder, gotten a little bit better, maybe had more of a shot at the tour.
Yeah.
But Santa Cruz and tennis were hand in hand. I was recruited and I went and played for them.
Yeah. Tennis was huge for you, right?
Yeah, it was 8 hours a day for 10 years and I got really good at it, and it kind of became my identity, and I depended on myself, and maybe that's where the team stuff for me at that time, I really enjoyed relying on myself, and it was up to me. And then I got to Santa Cruz and I was back on a team, and anyway, I felt like they sandbagged me. My junior year, I never lost a set in regulation play all the way to the national title. And I won that match at 6-3, 6-1. I didn't lose a set all the way through the national championship, and we got second place. So I wasn't real happy about that. I wanted the gold.
Yeah.
You could have been tennis's John Daly, dude. That would have been so awesome.
Yeah.
You could be golf's John Daly.
Can someone explain how he does that?
I don't know. I think that's the best part about him is you can't explain it.
Well, I think I've been a fan of the dust for ever since I started working here, probably 5 years ago, and I was cleaning up the attic here, and I found a pile that had like 3 The Dust CDs, and I just saw them, and I was like, I'm just gonna pop one in on my way home from work, listen to it. I was like, dude, this is rad. No clue that this was your band. And how was that? How did that shape, I don't know, part of your adolescence? Or I'm not sure how old you were when you were doing that, but I don't know. Talk about the dust. I want to know. Tell us about the dust.
The dust started in the Miyake's garage in El Granada. We were called Bearing Psalm. Mike Miyake was our drummer. Josh Jasperson on guitar. My brother Pete was bass at the time. So much passion.
Yeah.
We all had like a passion to write music. Josh's guitar playing is second to none. My brother ended up leaving the band, and Matt Allen replaced him right away. And we sort of went from being called Bearing Psalm to the Dust. But when Jeff Clark had his first year anniversary of her surf shop on Main Street at Half Moon Bay, he goes, "Hey, would you guys play it?" And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. So he had this friend of ours come watch us practice. So, no, you guys are ready. You guys are ready. So I'll never forget. We never played outside of a garage. Poor Mrs. Miyake, and rest in peace and bless her soul. She's so sweet. She used to let us play in that garage for 3 years. And we battled, learning how to be a band and be a team, and right.
Yeah.
And we played that right there. It's where, next to the Goldworks, that house right there, where it comes to surf.
That was Mavericks was?
Yeah.
That was
the
Jeff's
surf shop was there?
Yeah.
Yeah, then Colleen had Coastside Surf and Skate.
Where Tokens is.
Yes.
Yes.
Whoa.
And we played in the
That's
driveway.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
And I remember two things. I remember ladies with their children in baby carriages running away. For real. And I remember Jay Moriarty, he was 17, he just turned 17. He just had that huge cover of Surfer magazine where he did the Iron Cross, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was standing in the doorway right next to me the whole time. And as soon as we were done, I looked at him and I said, "I'm really sorry." And he goes, No. And he's a really nice person.
Yeah.
Jay's was a really nice kid. He's like, "No, I loved it." And it turns out he actually really loved raw metal, but I didn't know. So I apologized to him. But I'll never forget that. That was the first time we ever played out. And then as time went on, we changed our name and we became The Dust.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't mess around with it. We played 4 days a week. We had a practice spot. We took it very seriously. We recorded, we rehearsed, we wrote things down. We were pretty hard on ourselves. I mean, don't get me wrong, we had a great time, but for the 15 years we did that.
That was 15 years of that?
I think we did it for about 15 years.
From what age did you start?
I would say like 25.
Okay.
Almost
Still
to
time,
40.
Boys. Yeah, you still got time, boys. We can start a band.
You guys can still start a band.
Where'd the name The Dust came from?
Oh man. While you were asking me, I was trying to remember, and I don't know. I'd have to ask. I really don't know. I know we were all really vocal about it, and I always felt like being just a vocalist, not playing an instrument. I always felt, maybe insufficient or not superior because I was just the vocalist. So I always was really vocal, as you can tell. And I know I think we just came up with it, and we were just like, that sounds really cool. And we just went with it.
It is a sick name.
It's a sick name.
You know what? Good band name.
Timeless. Timeless.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Because with that, it takes a lot of discipline, especially in a band, to be able. Do you feel like the discipline from being in a band and, like you're saying, practicing 4 days a week, writing and all that stuff? Do you feel like that translates pretty good into owning and operating a business?
For sure. I mean, if you don't try hard and do well, you suck.
Yeah.
And we always called it, Larry Schlegel would say, turn down the suck. We'd get done playing, like, hey, turn down the suck. That really makes sense. Like, practice hard, play well, communicate. You have to communicate, Always someone was turning up too much. And we called it weapons of mass destruction, where like everyone would buy the biggest gear and wanted to be the loudest. We called it weapons of mass destruction. And it was a funny thing, but for me as the vocalist, it was like, can we turn down so I could like hear myself? So I ended up buying a monitor that I put in front of me so I could always hear myself. Because if you can't hear myself, I'm trying to sing over everything, you lose your voice. Yeah. And then you're no longer like trying to like hit notes and everything. You're just, and and I wanted to do more than that. I didn't want to just be a death metal band where I scream the whole time. So yeah, Josh Jasperson and Matt Allen and I, those are my like two best friends from 7th grade on. And to this day, we speak probably 4 days a week. And, we had great communication. It was always the drummer that was switching in and out, which ended up being sort of our demise. we had a really neat opportunity one time. This guy loved our band. I want to trip you guys out. He loved the band. His name was Richard, and he was married to Tina, who was from Half Moon Bay, and I can't think of her last name, but he always would come. And I remember he came to this Earth Day festival at, since what is today or yesterday was Earth Day.
Yesterday was Earth Day.
Yep.
Happy Earth Day.
They would always have those NorCal Surf Shop Earth Day festivals, and we would play at
Okay.
NorCal Surf Shop. And this guy one time said he was coming from Detroit, and he to LA, and he flew an SFO to come watch us play. And it turns out he was Dr. Dre's lead sound engineer, and he was in Detroit for a month with Eminem. And he wanted to introduce our music into Snoop, who he discovered, Eminem, who he discovered, and Dr. Dre, and they wanted to bring the dust into that. And he got us a show at the Whiskey, and he showed up at the Whiskey, and then he took me with him up to the Roxy Theater to see some show alone, and he was like a god. He has 12 Grammys under Dr. Dre, and his nickname is Seagal. And I always remember it because of the actor Seagal, Steven Seagal.
Yeah.
But his name is Richard Seagal something. He has over 10 Grammys with Dre. He was Dre's main sound engineer, and he loved our metal.
Wow.
And we were invited to stay at his house twice to record with him. And one was during Christmas and one was during April. And our drummer at the time, who I'll leave nameless, refused to do what he had to do, which was learn how to play on a click track. Because if you're going to incorporate rock metal music into, rap or hip hop, it's got to be perfect.
Yeah.
So our drummer at the time had to learn how to play music to a click, which he was more than capable of doing, but he was more into like natural drumming and didn't want to do it, which means it'd be garbage.
Yeah.
Like you have to have it perfect. So we actually thought he was doing it. We bought him all the equipment to do it, and we fired it. We got rid of him after the second time. Twice we were invited to go down and stay in this guy's house twice for 3 weeks at a time.
Wow.
And that was probably what would have been our breakthrough.
Yeah. Talk about second chances too.
We had a second chance, and we blew that one too. And that would have been an opportunity to mix our music with Snoop and
Eminem
and all that.
Dre.
Yeah. And it was Dre's main sound engineer, Richard Seagal. And he was such a sweet person. He was, to this day, if I saw him, I'd go give him a big hug. He spent a lot of time on us.
Nice.
That's awesome. Well, I know that, like, how many CDs did you guys put out? Because I just found that random, The Dust.
I think we have three. I
don't know if
like a short one, and then we have like a short one, a full length, and then like a medium. We have like a medium. We have like a 6-songer, a 3-songer, and like a 12-songer.
Okay.
So we have 3.
Right on.
Yeah.
And
Thanks for saying that.
You still got a bunch of copies?
I do.
Sick.
I'll deliver
Sick.
some. I got some with lyrics and everything.
I'd love a CD. Yeah, that would be so sick.
And it's all in the back of the CD is a picture of El Granada at night that I took, and all our lyrics and the whole CDs. It's called 22, about 22 years of friendship. NorCal Surf Shop, by the way, sponsored us the entire time. NorCal Surf Shop sponsored the Dust and we got sponsored by Thrasher magazine.
Damn.
We had NorCal Surf Shop and Thrashers.
Yeah.
Man, we went on tour.
That's pretty epic.
That's awesome.
Played with Incubus and Papa Roach. And,
No way.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
The butterfly effect, if that had kept going, your life would be so much different now.
Right? I'd be all weird. I'd have like weird eyebrows. I'd have shit in my face.
Yeah. How many face
tattoos
tats?
and-
Yeah.
Your staples, yeah.
Are you still because you were songwriting, so are you still writing in any way to get anything on paper?
Well, I stare at my acoustic guitar every night, sitting next to me by the TV. I've written a couple songs, and I've got some interesting ideas, and I just haven't quite made it to fruition yet. But
I mean, there's a lot of local artists. I feel like the local music scene is getting better and better in terms of like grassroots stuff.
I mean, last Saturday, Coast Drive sold 195 pre-sales, and then had 220 sold at the door.
Damn.
Holy shit.
That was last Friday, a Saturday.
Yeah.
You know, so there is, man.
Yeah.
There is.
People need to plan ahead. 220 at the door.
220 ticket sales at the door.
Holy.
Dude, you got to realize how much of this town is still fucking old school.
Yeah.
Like, show up, buy a ticket, and go see the show.
Yeah.
Who needs to pay for Eventbrite?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so being in the band, did you feel like that was you kind of coming into who you are today? Or can you think of a moment from your younger days where you kind of felt like fuck, this is the route that I want to take in life?
The band showed me entertainment at a close-up level. Getting a job when I was 15 at the San Benito house washing dishes, having Ashley Reagan show me how to wash pots and pans quick enough to keep up with the chef was the other part, because for some reason I loved it. So my start in the restaurant industry and bar industry was the Benito House and the Swedish Place and the Miramar, and then the Catch, right? But my window into entertainment was being up front in a band, going to clubs in the city in our mid-20s, playing the Kokaju with Incubus or the Maritime Hall with Papa Roach, or the things that we did. And that was a lot of fun. And there was a lot of fun things that happened, but taking it all very seriously and not just partying and like going crazy, I kind of want to mix those things together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's unreal.
I mean, I've heard a lot of stories from you and Scott era of bartending Catch. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just.
You want to hear a good Scott story?
I would
Hell
love.
yeah.
I would
Let us
love
know every
a
good story.
Story.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to swear on this podcast?
Oh,
Fuck
y-
yeah.
That motherfucker.
We are now.
I work Saturday nights and he didn't. And every Saturday night, the restaurant would close at like 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I would get food because I got to go till like 3, 4 in the morning, right? And I'd eat, then go to work like you're supposed to do. Everyone in the restaurant world, eat, then go to work. Don't get there and go and eat.
Hold on, not to cut you off, but Harbor Bar did have a closing time. But back in the day, you'd be there, people would just show up, right? And you'd have to stay bartending until 3 or 4 a.m.
Well, anyway, what Scott did. So I would get like a burger, or my favorite was the turkey cream cheese bacon sandwich, and with fries, and I'd put it in the same spot. I wasn't smart enough to like A, booby trap it, B, hide it. You get going and you're busy and you're late to work and whatever, and maybe take a bonger before you get there, so you're kind of up, and I would put it in the same spot. And I swear every Saturday night I always put it over down there by the back door,
Okay.
under the bar,
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And every Saturday night he would be sitting there, and my whole sandwich or hamburger would be in his mouth. No, the whole thing.
One bite. Yeah.
The whole thing would be in his mouth,
Yeah.
and he'd be staring at me with this thing sticking out of his face, tears coming out of his eyes, and he'd be laughing so hard at me because now I can't eat it,
Yeah.
and I'm all, you fucker, like seriously,
He's
you
like,
gotta eat, bro.
Yeah.
He did it to me every Saturday night, and I should have put a dog turd in there, or a frickin' or a ghost pepper,
Yeah.
right? Done something, and but he did that to me every Saturday night. That guy, man, he was. It's such a tragedy and such a loss to the coast to not have Scott Meyer around. It's like,
Yep.
damn, dude. Like, of all the guys, I would think that would not be here. He was not the one, because that guy was tough.
Yep.
In shape. He could brawl. He could bartend. He was there. He was there for the birthdays. He was there. He just was the last guy in the world you think wouldn't be here. So
Yeah. Got too soon. Not
Scott.
enough time with
Scott.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scott was such a dope dude.
He wasn't even hungry. He wasn't even hungry.
He was just doing it.
He probably just went and had dinner at his mommy's house.
he probably didn't even like cream cheese.
Dude.
All right, a little bit of a tough transition, but obviously we know now you're a musician, you were a bartender. But what ultimately led you to buy a well-established place like the old Princeton Landing when you did buy it?
Well, we all know it was a crack house, right? So it was a dive bar.
Yeah,
Allegedly.
allegedly.
So my dad is a CPA, finance guy, and he was the CPA for many businesses on the coast. Most of them, the Catch Joanne for over 30 years, American Legion, same, Old Princeton Landing, same. I could go down the list, and Reb was done. He was over it, and David Lovelace Fraggle and I were kind of looking to do something, start a bar, take over a bar, and the story before was we were looking at Milano's over here by the Half and Bay Coffee Company,
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
and that ended up being a disaster. The owner was just a disaster, like whatever. And it was on 420. And I came home and I remember going, "We're not doing it." And I opened up the lid to the garbage can, and I threw the keys of the place in the garbage can. I didn't even tell the owner we weren't doing it. And he's like, "What?" I don't want to talk. It's 420, dude. And then I got 20 of my buddies up there. We're celebrating 420. The very next day, my dad called and said, "The OPL's available. Do you want it?" And it wasn't free. You know, I had to like do a bunch of, I had to like make deals and figure out the finances and had to pay everyone back. And the next day after 420 in 2009, I made the deal.
Oh yeah.
Sick.
Or maybe 420 2010, because we opened the Old Princeton Landing we got it August 1st, 2010, and we opened September 7th, 2010,
Wow.
right before the first Giants World Series, which was,
Yeah, that's huge for
Yeah.
business then. Yeah.
but it was a no-brainer. It was like, yeah, I want it. And I'll tell you why I wanted it. A few years before, this guy, Dane Johnson, who's like a music promoter, a good friend of Tony Canales, still comes around. My brother just hosted him in Tahoe. He lives in Santa Cruz. He had the music package for the Coldwater Classic of Santa Cruz, the surfing contest. He had like the music. It was Pepper, Tommy Curran, and a few others, like, right? And that was the package. And he's like, "Hey, man, can we figure this out?" And I was like, so I went to Reb, and Reb loved when I did music shows. I did shows, and the Dust played at the OPL. And so I would see it pack in with all the people. And, well, it doesn't matter what the place is. It's who you bring into the place.
Yeah.
And it was that night. And it was, whenever the Coldwater Classic is, before we got it, I had Pepper got in trouble and they couldn't come up. So they sent the Long Beach Dub All-Stars, and Tommy Curran and the Dust played. And we had a big thing. Ion played with Tommy Curran, and my band played, and the Long Beach Dub All-Stars took the stage, and they were so good. And they played Scarlet Begonias.
Yep.
And it was so good with Opie singing, and all and Mike Happel and all the boys. And I looked around, I'm all, "Oh, this place is sick."
Yeah.
This is pre-tourism.
Yeah.
So when it came available, I was like, "Yep."
Were all the shows inside on the stage? Like, was the outdoor area where you have a lot of your shows now, was that there, or was that?
It was just like maybe 15 feet out the back. And it was like, it went like this. And then there was a little by the tree. So no, there was no really shows out back.
Yeah.
I started putting shows out back a little bit, but there was more room inside at that time. So it was all inside mostly.
It's awesome. Well, how do you, because I mean, it's the question that's on everybody's mind. Like, you're dad, your husband, and you're a business owner, and you own a bar, which is a hard business to own. So how do you go about managing your relationships in life, your business, and just how do you go about managing all that? You have a lot on your plate.
Do not ask my wife this question, because as we have this podcast, she's not talking to me. She was just over the soccer field. Oh, "Hey, babe," and I got nothing.
It's a couple cold shoulders.
I'm
It's
actually,
an ongoing. You're working at it.
it's ups and downs. It takes over, and the hard part is, before I answer the question, the hard part is, "Hey, bro, you want a beer?" And I can say no like 20 times, and on the 21st time, it's the wrong person at the wrong time. Like, absolutely.
Yeah.
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 It happened today.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but it's hard. It's a hard business. You want to make sure your food's good and consistent. You want to make sure that your drink menu is good. You want to make sure that your entertainment coming in is good. You want to make sure you're not losing money, being taken advantage of. Everyone asks you for everything. It's like, I don't know what it is about the schools, but at the same time, every year, all the schools have to raise their money. So you have someone coming in from every single elementary school, middle school, high school, everything, asking for money. And a lot of times the people asking are like far more wealthier than anyone that I know. Kind of like, you live in that mansion and those cars and have all that stuff. And you're asking power lines, Old Princeton Landing, breakwater, barbecue, Catch Joanne for money.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I mean the old Catch Joanne.
Yeah.
There is no new Catch Joanne. Let's just say that clearly. Anyway.
It's not the same Harbor Bar.
Oh, God. Anyway, with that being said, you have to look out for yourself, but you don't want to be a dick either. You don't want to be mean to people, and I lose it. I lose my composure. I get upset, Everyone knows that, but you just pick yourself up the next morning and go in there and do the best you can. And I just try and do the best I can. And there's one more thing about this whole thing. I have a shut off switch that I've learned how to do. I just shut off and I just turn it off. And when I turn it off, I just stay at home, go hang out with my daughter, my wife. I ignore. I don't care if the building's on fire or if there's a plumbing issue. I just ignore it and I take that necessary time and I just learn how to. I've learned how to shut everything off. I just shut it off and I don't answer my phone. I don't look at it. I don't go down there. I don't care what's going on, and it always seems to be there the next day. So it seems to work.
Yeah. Well, that's how you balance it right there. That's more important than.
Yeah.
I mean, having a business is super important. Don't get me wrong, but being able to shut it off and be there for your family and hang out at quality time with your family is a lot more important.
It's the epitome of between shifts.
Yeah, fuck. Yeah. That's what my dad always told me growing
Between shifts. I'm in between right now.
That's what my dad always said. I always asked him because he's always been a plumber. He's been a general foreman for a long time. And he's always said, I have a landmark on my way home where I just fucking shut it off. Because if I don't shut it off, then I'm not present with my family. So that's cool. That's really cool that you're able to acknowledge that and do that.
I wonder if me and your dad have the same tree.
Depends, dude. Now he's going home 90 or Devil Slide a lot lot of the time.
Same.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I follow your dad to work a lot.
Follow. That's the key point.
Yeah. Well, try. He's
So I
a lot
know-
faster than me.
Something that we keep mentioning is that you own the bar. I feel like we're forgetting the whole restaurant side because honestly, like I frequent the bar, go to the bar all the time. I think I go to the restaurant more so, like I get food there all the time. It's a staple in the community of just, whether it's getting your bucket there or, I don't know, my go-to, the kids menu chicken tenders. It's cheap. It's fucking good.
It's also a snack.
Yes.
It says on the menu, and a snack.
Yes. Yes.
You don't got to
yes.
be 12 to get it, dude. You didn't break the law.
Exactly.
And it's
So-
it's no longer Silver Star, right?
Yeah.
It's a part of OPL. You've merged it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like the restaurant side, because you have a huge hand in that. I mean, of course you own it.
It's
but
the
like,
same. It's OPL.
Yeah, exactly. And so I don't know. What's do you have a bar mode and a restaurant mode, or do you just kind of treat them all as one?
I'll tell you this. When I first took it over, I didn't want to do the food. I wanted to do the bar and the entertainment because that's what I'm good at. And that's what I know how to do. And I tried. I guess I won't mention the people that were in there and failed. Very disappointing. With the exception of Wyatt. Wyatt went in for a second. I don't know if you guys know this, but Wyatt went in for a second, was in that restaurant running.
Really?
He just was in with a bad dude that just ended up didn't work out. Okay. However, when it wasn't working for anyone I let in there, I realized that I needed to take it over because it was it's on my liquor license. Like my liquor license is like they have to be in there 40 hours a week from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at least 5 days a week. It's on the liquor license. So it literally is part of the business.
Yeah.
And there came a moment when I knew I had to do it. And I knew food was going to be the hardest thing I've ever done. Harder than running the Mavericks contest, harder than being in a band, harder than running a bar and restaurant, harder than being a husband. I mean, seriously, I knew the food was going to be gnarly.
Yeah.
And it just came to a point where I'm like, I got to do it. And we went for it. And the second that the old Princeton Landing took over the food, which was probably in 2012, 2013, hope 2013, because I came back from my honeymoon, got married in 2013 on January 27th. So after a month of being in Costa Rica, I came home, I took over the restaurant. And
Nice.
The second I did it, the hours were consistent. We're staying open until 9 o'clock. You come in at 9 o'clock, you can get whatever you want. And I told those workers, I want anyone coming in to be comfortable. It's important, right? As soon as I did that, my bar revenue went up over $10,000. Just the liquor and the beer revenue went up over $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
The morale in the place went crazy. It was a happier place. It was more fulfilling of the dream of what I wanted for the old Princeton Landing. The food is so important. It's so hard, but it's so important. It raises the morale. You go in there and get chicken wings,
Yeah.
a bucket, a burger, a Nong Alifano's Thai cod curry recipe. She gave me her family's curry recipe from Thailand.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, and you also like, I feel like a huge thing is when customers rent bikes here all the time. And when I'm just giving them the rental spiel on where to go, I'm, go to the harbor and they're like, oh yeah, we're thinking about going to Barbara's for fish and chips. And I'm like, don't go to Barbara's. It's frozen Alaskan, like
Frozen
go to-
pollock,
yeah.
$2.37 a pound.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, if you go right down the street, it costs like, what, $2-3 more, and it's fresh fish from the fishermen in the harbor. If you catch them at the right time, you can see the cooks go into the freezer, grabbing those fish, filleting them. Like it's,
Shout out Fitzy.
yeah, shout out Fitz for sure.
Mr. Morgan,
But,
Captain Steve Fitz.
Yep.
Everything we do is semi-illegal, but we don't fuck with fish and game.
Yeah.
We don't really care about the environmental health department, but we do not fuck with fish and game.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's so funny. The early videos and just my introduction to fucking Fitz was power lines when he's hanging onto the bumpers of the taxis in the city.
do you know what that's
Yeah.
called?
Sketches.
Aquaholics or under the radar?
Who said it? You knew.
Both of us.
How did you know that?
Sketching?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I just know because
Sketching.
when my buddies and I would go to the city
Awesome.
to skate, my mom, she works at UCSF Hospital, and so she would drop us off at the top of the city, and we would bomb all the way down to like Waller, because at the bottom of Haight at Waller, you've got sick ledges. They built that kind of like skate park there, and we would be like midday, and we're like, we want to bomb hills again, and so we would just start skating up the hills, and then I think once or twice we skid grabbed onto
It's
some
called
random cars.
sketching.
and-
Yeah. Back when bumpers didn't used to fall right
Yeah.
off.
I don't know if
Yeah.
Fitzy invented that sport or not, but I know he lost a lot of nice clothing his wife bought him.
That was my first thought. Seeing those videos, I was like, his jeans are just fried after that.
Shoes are gone.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're in bars and he's got one shoe off. Holes in the back of his shirt. Yeah, that,
Classic.
Holes
yeah.
in clothes before it was cool.
yeah, that was my 30th or 40th birthday when Kurt with Power Lines went up and filmed, and there was a meteor shower. I mean, it was like ridiculous. There's a meteor shower. We're at Coit Tower. We're sketching. We're doing all kinds of crazy stuff. But yeah,
Sick.
That's unreal.
Where are we at? So the whole music venue part of your business, I mean, clearly through this interview, I've learned that you're way deeper in the music industry than I had known before. And I mean, when it comes to getting artists to come to your place, do you think there's like a breakthrough moment that you had in terms of like being able to get people to come to Old Princeton Land to perform? I mean, like we have Landon McNamara coming in what, a couple
May
weeks?
28th.
May 28th?
Yeah.
Wednesday, May 28th.
Yep.
It's
And
going by.
I mean, that's an insane one.
Get your tickets.
I know like artists that I love, Babe Rainbow. I don't know, like that was crazy. I was like out of nowhere. I was like, Babe Rainbow is playing at OPO. Like, okay,
That's Brigo Via Fokia Events. My answer to that question is, before you ask it, is just don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
I have my friend Tom Hoppa runs Bottle Rock.
Okay.
He was Prince's producer. He ran the Vipe Room and Sunset Strip for many years. Brico Villa owns Fokia Events. Got me Chris Robinson of the Black Crows, Babe Rainbow, Mother Hips.
Yep.
I just booked A La Loss, which I don't know a whole lot about, but they have a great following. They're going to sell my place out on July 18th.
Chris Shiflett.
That
was huge.
Chris Shiflett was a Tom Hoppa. That was rad. And then through them, they got me, Taylor Hawkins, the drummer of
Yep.
Foo Fighters, would go off.
No
When
way.
they-
He came to OPO?
No,
Oh.
his son did.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay. Yeah.
And so when the Foo Fighters would tour around the world, Taylor would go off with, they're such nice guys, Wiley and Brent Woods and Wiley, and they were like his best friends, and they would go do these like rock shows and play, and they were called Chevy Metal, and it became like a thing. Well, Taylor died, and Tom called and said, "Hey man, I'm gonna have Chevy Metal play at Bottle Rock with Shane Hawkins, with Taylor's kid. Do you want to host him?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah!" So sure enough, I booked them, and they're amazing. They do all like '80s metal covers,
It was unreal.
and I get a phone call. They're like, Shane's stuck in the airport. I'm all, what? Shane Hawkins is stuck in the airport. We'll send an Uber. I'm all, Ubers from the airport are a disaster, right? Those guys go 20 miles an hour over Mandarin.
Yeah.
I don't even know where they're going. They get to the coast. They're freaked out,
Yeah.
right? They're from Egypt. I don't know what's going on there, but it's weird.
Yeah.
And I'm all, I'll go get him. And I went and picked up Shane Hawkins from the airport. And I was like, I wonder what this kid's going to be like, right? He's like a full-on rock star already. And by the way, he doesn't play the drums because his dad did. He's not playing the drums because of his name. He's a phenom. That kid Shane Hawkins is like John Bonham. He's special. And I didn't know that till I watched him. But when I went to pick him up, I was like, I wonder what he's going to be like. Is he going to be a little shit? Is he going to have attitude? Dude, I pull up and he's got his hat on backwards. He's like, I'm so sorry. I missed my flight and blah, blah, blah. And he gets in my truck and like, I had the nicest ride over Sharp Park Road. And he was talking about his dad the whole way over, about how much he missed his dad and his career. And he asked me if he should stay in high school. And I was like, I think you should. He's like, why? And I said, I don't know. I think like it'll just give you grounding. Like if you can finish high school, you get your basic degree, it's sort of, you can say you have a high school diploma, you're not a high school dropout. I just feel like you should stay in high school. And then he saw the ocean as he saw, Maury Point, as we came down. He goes, is that the ocean? I said, it is. And he goes, is Mavericks near here? It is. That's where we're going. He goes, we're going to Mavericks? I go, yeah, we're going. That's where my place is. And he was really excited about the ocean and about school. And then we got to the old Princeton Landing, and boy, you should have seen people. It was like crazy. He's just a 16-year-old kid, but that was an amazing show. But those are the kind of experiences that I get to have. And I don't take any of them for granted.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What was like the most surreal experience you've had since opening or, restarting Old Princeton Landing, musically or just running the business wise?
Having pasta at Mezzaluna with Too Short.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's insane.
Having rubber, but quick as hell.
Yeah. I know, like the Andre Nicotina shows, the Too Short, like that's crazy.
Warren G was special.
Yeah.
Some toilet paper, don't shit on yourself.
Warren, when he pulled up to the Old Princeton Landing, I was on the phone with the driver of the car, and I said, I got a spot. So they pull up, and Warren's pissed because we're in front and everyone can see him, and he wanted to be in the back. Pull up and back and go in the back. I don't know. I'm doing what I'm told.
You don't have a back, really.
So I said, I don't really have a back. Where are we going?
Pull up in that farmer's field.
In Jacoby's field.
Yeah.
And so I look in his thing, and there he is. And he's like, what's up? And he was so pissed. He was so pissed at me, and his boys were pissed. And he had some dudes with tattoos on their faces, and they had cornrows, and they were fucking heavy looking dudes. And I'm so sorry. And we ended up pulling him around to the Legion and letting him walk through there. And then I got him in the green room, and it was like Wyatt made a nice platter. Breakwater Barbecue made a real nice platter for Warren G, because Warren likes barbecue, where he's got his his sauces and his rubs, right?
Oh yeah.
And so Wyatt made this rad platter, and I was getting it ready with Tina, and we were getting it ready, and it was like you could cut the frickin' the tensity with a knife. It was terrible. And and then we gave them their food, and we set everything up, and we left, and then I went back in, and I'll never forget it. It was like, I think they just needed to know they were in a safe place.
Yeah.
These are gangsters, right? So some of them were, I think. So it was like they were really tense, like, where are we? Mm-hmm. And as soon as they realized they were at the Old Princeton Landing in B.O.'s green room with everyone loving that they're there, and you're safe as a kitten, right? And everything switched. And I'll never forget the one dude that was gnarly, had cornrows and tattoos on his face. He started doing the chicken dance in the office. And then the music turned on, and it was night and day.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden Warren was very appreciative, and it was hugs and how's it going? And the joints were getting lit, and people were dancing and partying, and it was a wonderful show. But that one in particular, for some reason, had a really rough start. But
they were just coming into unfamiliar territory, I guess, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it was. I really think they needed to figure out they were in a safe space.
Yeah, human nature popped in.
Yeah. So that was cool.
This is one that I turned 21 right after you removed the pool tables. I remember being like, man, I'm so
Damn
excited.
pool tables.
I'm so excited to turn 21 and go play pool at OPL with my buddies. What was the reasoning between removing the pool tables?
Why did you ever want to get to the park on this PO?
Why'd you ruin my
Actually, this is
21st
I'm sure
birthday?
people harass you over
This is a painful topic.
Yeah, I know it's more seating and like, yes.
Well,
but-
it was the one word answer is COVID, right?
Okay,
Because we
yeah.
couldn't play.
Yeah.
And I didn't miss. Hey, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tuesday. It's a Sunday at 2 p.m. Like,
Yeah.
in there, and all our buddies are, oh, you fucking lying. And they won't leave the pool table.
Someone hit someone else at the bar with
Dude,
a cue ball.
all our buddies get wasted and don't leave the pool table, and they
And,
got pool cues and pool balls.
They're overly competitive, so it just
Yeah.
starts arguments.
I'm sure the fighting like went down like twofold after you got rid of the pool
Spilling their
tables.
drinks on the pool table, and then it was the children. Because parents
Okay.
do not discipline their children anymore, right?
Yeah.
When you get to the old Princeton Landing with your child, it's like free romper room. Go crazy. Take the pool cues, rip the thing, throw the things, rip stuff out, do whatever. Dude, people do not watch their children to this day at the old Princeton Landing. So the kids would rip it's $460 to have the felt repaired. So I was sick of it.
Oh
And I was like,
God.
I would take the pool cues away and go, they can play with the balls. And the parents would get pissed. The parents are like, don't you dare discipline my child.
Oh,
And I'm like,
guess that-
your child's going to cost you $460, sir. I'm kicking your ass. Like, this is, and I got to tell you, when COVID hit and there was no more pool, my blood pressure dropped. I want to say some names so bad of the guys that would go in there and play pool and drive me crazy. But I'm not going to do it. I've got one guy. I got one guy in particular that I want to just drop his name, but I'm not gonna, because anyway. So when I moved the pool tables out, which hurt, it was painful.
yeah, yeah.
I had all this extra room now, and we put the high booths in, and
Yep.
all of a sudden, man, we can do. Is the fire department listening? We can do about 250 in there, and you know what? It's comfortable, and there's more room, and people can move around better, and
Yep.
it actually. But I love pool. My Tuesday night pool
Yep.
tournaments would kill it.
Yeah.
I was just talking to Paul, the bar manager, who's opened up a spot in Granada where Wyatt was, and I was like, "Remember your Tuesday nights?" He's like, "Because Mez Luna had a special. We had Taco Tuesday. We had a pool tournament.
Oh, Taco Tuesday was
Yeah.
unreal.
And we're doing it again.
It's
We're
back.
doing
It's
Taco
back.
Tuesday,
It's
but
back.
chicken's expensive. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to go back to that $1 a taco.
Yeah.
I really want to get to it.
I met most of my friends there.
Yeah, we
But it
used
was
to have.
packed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to have after we would get out of high school on Tuesdays, and for at least like a year or two,
Probably 2 years.
almost 2 years, we would go and get dollar tacos
Be like
every
fif-
Tuesday after school.
15 of
And-
us probably.
Yep.
Yeah. I taught a bunch of kids how to drive stick out front.
Well, we're gonna try and get that. I still have it, but I really want to get that going special again.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Core
after
memory.
after COVID, we pulled the pool tables, and it's painful.
Yeah.
But I think it's gonna stay that way.
Yeah, I know. I know.
somewhere.
But when you turn 50, maybe we'll see what happens.
Where did those pool tables go?
I gave them away
Oh, bummer.
to good bar customers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's another thing about, we talked about people asking for donations in the schools and everything. If you're a good bar customer and you come in, I don't care if it's you get meals with your family or you have a beer every once in a while, and you're one of those people and you ask me for something, that's a lot different than some random person walking up going, "Hi, I'm from so-and-so school, and can you give us $335?" It's like, I don't even know you.
Yeah,
Get
Yeah.
back in your G-Wagon.
yeah.
there's no relation.
Right.
Like-
You're just making the runs. And by the way, you're worth what, about $50 million? Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
But when a good bar customer, restaurant customer, patron, people that rent the place out and do things for the community come in and they go, "Hey, we're," say absolutely. So
Okay.
that, just back on that whole thing, that's where you really want to like help someone out, or
GL wants to do his retirement party and back.
no
Oh.
problem, GL, you're in.
That was so fun. That was so fun.
So sick.
Yeah.
I was bummed.
Or Scott's celebration of life, dude. That was
Yeah.
that was
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
You just named two things I wasn't at.
Yeah.
I couldn't be there for Scott's. Because if someone complained about their French fries or something else
Oh,
while we're
God,
trying to
yeah.
like do that. I can't do both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's totally fair.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, the other big attraction to OPL, and I some people might not understand what's going on there with the boards and the rafters. You know, some people might walk in and be like, "What the fuck? Why is this guy storing his surfboards up here?"
I don't think it's a what the fuck. You walk in and you're like, wow.
No, it's
like,
super
it's
cool.
It's
But
sick.
some people probably do not understand it.
Yes.
We want to hear the story as to how that came to be and what that means to you, because that's one of the coolest parts about your bar, other than the music and the drinks and the food. That's fucking awesome.
It's Kenny Skin Dog Collins, man, from Santa Cruz. He walked in one day and he's all, "Hey, you guys, you guys want a board?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Can I hang that up there?" He doesn't even remember because they wrote that story in the review. It said the surfboards at the OPL tell stories, and that young reporter wrote that great August
Howell.
Howell wrote
Yeah,
that
yeah.
story. It was great. The boards and the rafters tell stories, and they really do. But Kenny Collins, Skin Dog from West Side Santa Cruz, he
Charger at Mavericks.
yeah, old school Charger, no vest, right? Those guys inventing the jet ski at Mavericks. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. He gave me the first board, and he put it up there, and I was like, I really appreciate that. And I just remember the one board up there, and it's yellow with red rails, and it says to the OPL boys, Skin Dog. And the next guy that walked in with the board was Tim West, and Tim walked in with a Dick Brewer that he surfed Mavericks a lot, and we ended up going out to Toto Santos with Travis Payne, the three of us. Holy smokes, we took a crappy old jet ski across that channel to Toto Santos from Ensenada and went and surfed, and I actually surfed Toto Santos on it with Tim and Travis, and Tim gave me the second board, and that's up there, and it went from there. And then it got to the point where it was like, we're going to break the ceiling. Like it was, there were so many surfboards, and now the 85 extra boards are down where we have a warehouse down the street, and I have 85 guns down there.
What?
Oh my god.
85 that aren't in the rafters.
No,
Yes.
they're storage.
That are not in the rafters,
Is
because I
that-
pulled them all because I did this really weird thing that my brother will still slap me in the face for doing. I cleaned the paint off all the up in the ceiling. Have you guys seen that?
Yeah.
I took a, what do you call that? When you sandblast. I sandblast. I turned that place into the Armageddon, bro. And I didn't want any more paint. I wanted fresh wood.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I got to tell you what's up there. I let me just go through some of them. Garrett McNamara's board, who's on the Hunter show on HBO, who is Landon's uncle, who's about to play music there.
Full circle.
Aaron Gold is boards up there, who has the biggest paddle and wave ever to this day, ever paddled into ever by a human pair of arms. I've got Justine DuPont, who's one of the best, probably the best big wave female surfer. She stays at her house. She's lovely. Her husband Fred and her little baby, they stay at my house.
She'll come and get CO2 from us.
Sean Dollar, who's been in the Guinness Book of Records twice. His board's in there. We've got Ryan Seelbach, Ion Banner, obviously our beloved pillar of our surfing community, Mr. Ion Banner. He's got a couple of his in there, a couple of Jeff Clark's in there. We've got, as I go down the thing, it's like crazy. Mark Fu, I got Mark Fu's sister gave me Mark Fu's backup Mavericks board.
Way.
Wow.
And actually, when you look, it's the pink and yellow one. It says Fu on it.
Oh, I've seen it.
So when you look up there, it's just this big pink and yellow. But if you look closely, it says Fu in yellow on a pink board. I got Mark Fu's board. I got, I could go on forever thinking of what's up. What's up there is absolutely amazing, and it's a gift. You know, who's my Manny Rosano from Nicaragua? That dude is so funny. We met drinking Fernet. He's like, "You want some Fernet?" And I was like, "Let's drink some Fernet."
Oh,
So me and this guy start drinking Fernet. It's Manny Rosano, dude. And the guy charges Mavericks. He's a goofy footer that just charges, and he lives in Nicaragua, and he surfs this random like bomby off the coast of Nicaragua. He's always getting barreled, and he's crazy, and he's the nicest guy in the world. I got one of his boards in there, and yeah, the boards and the rafters, the old Princeton Landing, really, it's a really special thing. And the gifts I get and what people give. Anthony Tajnik, my gosh, he gave his trophy when he won Mavericks. He gave his trophy to Doug Acton's son, who was
Shane.
Shane.
Yeah.
Just gave him his trophy.
Really?
Just gave it to him.
I got 37, kid. Keep it.
So he's in the movie Chasing Mavericks,
Yeah.
and it's those beautiful Jay Moriarty boards.
Yep.
And he gave his board got lost during the filming of the movie, and we found it. And it was a big to-do, who found it, what found, but I wound up with it. And he came in, and he just met my daughter. She turned 1. And when you walk in the old prison, if you look up, it says, only steel can use. Anthony Tajnik gave my daughter, for her first birthday, his movie board from Chasing Maverick.
That's awesome.
And when you walk in and look up, it's Steele's board.
Yeah.
It's the only person allowed to use it's my daughter. She's 10. She turned 10 this week.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's the kind of stuff we're talking about.
What do you have any ideas as to what you're gonna do with the boards that you have in storage at the moment?
No, like come and get them.
There's your new fence in the backyard, dude.
Start
Fucking
a
sick.
Maverick surf camp for kids.
We have no excuses. Here's a wetsuit and a gun. Go have at it.
Get out there.
Well, yeah,
Sounds like
Pete,
Navy
Pete and I
SEALs.
are trying to figure out what to do with them. You know, they're taking up a lot of room.
No ideas yet. Nothing you can throw.
I
out
mean,
there?
I want to put a lot of them back in when we're done. We're building out the acoustics to make the sound even better. So we're going to put some more back in there. But no, they might end up, in a trailer and someone's put the tarp for the rest of their life. I don't think those dudes are ever coming back over.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah.
Oh man. So we've seen all the interviews, we've seen all the stickers, but we're curious of what it is that it made you such an advocate for dredging the harbor, the Pillar Point Harbor. It's kind of a heavy
Loaded
one.
one.
And maybe you can explain a little bit of what it is and why we want to dredge the harbor.
I'm glad you guys sent me the questions because that one needs a summary, right? Because we could be here for 3 days.
We'd love it from you.
Yeah.
In February 1970, before I was born, I'm 53 years old. A letter went out from the El Granada community to the Department of Transportation and the Harbor District saying something's going on. We need help. So, just so everybody knows, we've been asking for help since the beginning of the year of 1970. So, for anyone that thinks this is a new thing or whatever, they need to like rearrange their brain.
When was the breakwater built? Was that 1970 or
So
was that a little bit before
The
that?
breakwater was built in the 50s, and the arm, which is a huge problem, was finished in 1967. So you had the breakwater opening like this, right? And they would surf Barbara's Fish Trap.
Yep.
Ivy and the boys would surf Barbara's Fish Trap. Pete Labrador and his brothers and some of those legends would surf.
Hazel's.
Dooley's grandma.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's my great grandma.
Okay, they'd surf Dooley's grandma's joint before they put that arm on, because the way the swell would come through, there'd be like a chest high peak at Hazel's, which I prefer to call it Hazel's, by the way. We'll get to that one later. And then they put the arm on, and when they put the arm on, they called it log spiral erosion. So the big Maverick swells and the South Souls would hit that arm and send it straight at the bluffs in El Granada, Miramar. And it was in 1970 when people were like, we're losing our bluffs from that arm, because it makes perfect sense. It was built, it was finished in 67, and then they started having erosion issues. Now, I come into play in like my freshman year at Half Moon Bay High School was 1986. And I remember hearing like Ion and I can't even think of a single person, except for Banner. Banner talked about it on the deck. There was a deck where all the seniors would hang out, and we weren't allowed on there.
Yeah.
At Half Moon Bay High, and I just remember this conversation. Eric Polson and Darren at the Half Moon Bay Board Shop. And,
Maybe Mad Dog.
Matt Dog wasn't real into politics. He was more into kicking people's ass. And
Dang up, Darren.
so scary.
Yeah.
So scary. God, Eric Nelson is such a nice guy, but his brother Alan was gnarly. Golly. Anyway, I have a great Alan Nelson story, by the way, after he kicked my ass and how him and I became friends.
Let's hear it.
And by the way, he loved the dust too, by the way. Should we do this real quick?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was out surfing the jetty, and I was just learning I was just good enough to like get into it, like where I was excited because the waves were good, and it was like sunny and the south swell and the jetty's pumping, and we're like, oh yeah, we're paddling out, yeah, fuck yeah, fuck yeah. And Alan gets this wave, and he's bottom turning, and I'm like paddling over it, and I look down and I'm all, and he falls. And he comes paddling back out, and he's all, are you laughing at me? Are you laughing at me? And you know what I said? I said, no, sir.
Probably a good answer.
I would never laugh at you. Are you kidding me? And he just paddled up to me and
in the water.
Oh yeah, Mark Hilver was sitting right there. There was a bunch of guys sitting there and no one did shit, you know, and I got my ass kicked like it was bad. I went in, I just sat in the rocks. I was done, you know, and I don't even know. I remember my parents asked me what happened. I said I fell. Yeah, I got beat up. Yeah, Dad, go down to the jetty and deal with it. Not even
the door.
And the old and nowadays 100%, right?
Yeah.
These people's fucking parents
Would've been
going,
a lawsuit.
give me a fucking break.
Yeah.
No, we don't even go there.
Yeah.
If you have any fucking balls in your shorts, you don't even go there. So I don't know how many, he hated me and I was shunned. I lived in the golf course at the time. My dad was the vice president of McComas Properties that owned the golf course. And that's why we grew up in there and lived in there. And I was a kid from the golf course, dude. The Alifanos would drop us off in their BMWs and Mercedes. I mean, are you kidding me? Can you imagine the age of the, dude, I was a target. I got my ass kicked out at the time. I was a target. And I ended up getting wasn't my first car, but one of my first cars I ever had was a Toyota Tacoma. My dad bought me a really nice 4-wheel drive Toyota truck. And I was passing Moon Bay. You guys know what Moon Bay is?
No.
The sign?
No, Moon Bay is where Wyatt's moving into. It used to be called Moon Bay.
yeah.
Chinese
Okay.
food place.
Yeah, the
That's-
railroad station.
It was called Moon
Yeah.
Bay. It was a really good Chinese. The same family still owns it. That's
Yeah.
who Wyatt's renting from, right?
Oh, wow.
Right by Easy Mart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was driving by,
I think.
and there was a guy hitchhiking, and this really is cool because I have the photograph in the OPL green room to this day, and there's a guy hitchhiking, and I pulled my truck over to pick up a hitchhiker 'cause I'm cool. It's fucking Alan Nelson.
Oh shit.
Oh my
The last time I
God.
saw him, he beat the shit out of me,
Yeah.
and I almost left, which would have been it.
Yeah.
You would have
Yeah,
got your
yeah,
ass
yeah.
kicked again.
Again.
Yeah.
And I remember making this decision, and I was paralyzed in fear, and I'm all, just do it. And he walks up, he opens the door, and he's all, huh. I mean, he looks like a fucking ape, dude. And he looks at my truck, and he's all, okay. And he gets in, and I start driving, dude. I can barely breathe. I gotta remember how to breathe. I gotta remember to make my heart beat. Like I'm super scared. And he's all, dude, you want to know what happened to me at Mavericks the other day? And I look at him, and he's all, I got so beat. I fell on this drop, and I got so beat. It blew my wetsuit down to my waist, and my wrists were caught in my wetsuit, and I was straight jacketed in the pit.
Oh my God.
And I was in the pit, and this next wave came and it buried me, and I almost fucking died. That place is pure terror and fear. And and I remember I'm listening to this story about Mavericks, and I get to Montera, and he's like, I can get out here. I'm all, no, please tell me where you live. He lived on Birch Street. And he's like, no, let me out here. I'm all, no, I'm driving you all the way to your doorstep. And I drove him all the way to his doorstep, and dude, we became really good friends after that.
Yeah.
I have the photograph that was featured in Surfer Magazine, taken by, I think the guy's name was Barber, last name Barber, Bob Barber, Bill Barber. I blew it up. I photographed Surfer Magazine, and you can tell when he's dropping in that his front foot's way over on the rail. Like he's not going to make this drop. He's like deep in the pit. And it looks sick, but he's not going to, and that was the wave.
Yeah.
It's hanging up. It's like a 20 by 30 photograph that I redid and fixed and recreated and wrote Alan Mad Dog Nelson
Fuck yeah.
circa 1992. It's hanging up in the green room at the old Princeton Landing.
I think you put this on your Instagram when he passed away, actually. I think you put it up in it. I remember seeing Alan Mad Dog Nelson, and I was like, this is a fucking sick photo.
I was honored. I carried his coffin. I was a pallbearer. So
Yeah.
you want to talk about turning things around?
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
full circle right there.
So when
Yeah.
you picked him up, did he have any recollection of beating the shit out of you when you're?
Oh, dude, he's like, okay,
That's
all
what
right,
it was.
Yeah.
all right. No, oh yeah, he knew who I was, dude.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But I picked him up,
Yeah.
and
Yep,
I
that's cool.
I got to tell you, 99.9% of every fiber in my body said, hit the fucking gas and get out of there.
Yeah.
Dude, it was Mad Dog, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was at a dust show in the city, and I gave him all my drink tickets.
Dude, he bullied you.
We got done with the show, and he was passed out at the bar. He didn't see us. He didn't hear a lick of our music, bro.
Oh my God.
Put him in the back of the truck, and we drove him home.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh my God. Oh, that's awesome. Wait, so hold on. So we got to get back to where you guys were surfing at the Hazel. but that's
Oh, yeah.
we're talking about
yeah.
dredging the harbor,
So-
right? So that's that arm.
That's where it started,
Yeah.
right? This 1970, and then I mean, let's look at this real quick. This is really simple. Montero Mountain. We live on this side of the coastal range, and when it rains, the creeks run, right?
Yeah.
And we have all these creeks. 4 creeks run inside the harbor: St. Augustine, Denison,
Yep.
and Deer, and I can't think of the 4th. But there's 4 creeks that empty sand from Montero Mountain into the harbor.
Yep.
Deer Creek is the one that goes down Vallejo Street by PJ's house.
Yep.
And empties over 3,000 tons of Montero Mountain granite grain a year.
Ooh.
And that's a non-El Nino year. That's a non-rainy year, okay?
Yeah.
And that dumps out on both sides of the boat launch. Talk about the genius guy that invented that. Let's put the runoff of a creek on both sides of a boat launch. When they dredge the boat launch, it's the only thing that's ever been dredged. They dredge it and they put it over by Perch Beach by the kayak company. That's what
Yeah.
that is. They're building land,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then one year they dredged the boat launch, and they were taking it to Ox Mountain.
And I just throwing away the Montero.
They're gonna throw it away, dude. And I called Don Horsley, the county supervisor, who R.I.P. Don. He passed away. I go, you're taking that sand, that perfect, beautiful sand, to the dump? And he goes, and they switched it and they dumped it where the rollerblading thing was at the airport. You guys remember the tarp
Yeah.
at the airport?
Yeah.
They do.
That was the from the boat launch. It was
Yeah.
2,200.
And it smelled like shit for a while.
2,200 cubic yards of sand.
Yeah.
And then they end up building the Mavericks West Trail with it.
Oh, so that's all Montero Mountain, Pillar Point,
So
sand.
there's a
yes.
really
Yeah.
weird thing about. Stop saying it smells like shit. Because there's a big stigma that everything's polluted,
Yeah,
right?
it was Brussels sprouts.
Everyone's saying it's polluted, it's polluted, it's
Yeah.
polluted, but it's not. Yeah, we have pollution in the harbor, which is going to
Yeah.
come back to my master plan here in a second. But the bottom line is this: we have 4 creeks running off Montero Mountain, dispersing sand into our harbor. Then we have a 5th sand source, which is Oceanography 101. You have the north-south littoral cell flow of North America that goes north to south. It picks up cells of sand and littoral cells, and it drives it down the coast and dumps off and nourishes naturally, right?
Yep.
Well, that gets sucked into our harbor too.
Yeah.
So we have 5 sand sources being sucked into this harbor since they finished that harbor, say 67, but it actually was done before when they finished in the 50s, whatever. They've never dredged it once. They dredged the boat launch and put it over at Perch Beach, and you can see it how it's building up over there. It's like
Yeah.
land. You
Yeah.
give your land back.
Yeah.
Just
So
for the boats so that it's deep enough is what you're saying.
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So here's the deal. Well, the boat launch would get so clogged with sand you can't even dump your boat,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So here's the deal. This harbor has become a fishbowl. Kurt took a rad picture of it. Powerlines took a really cool picture of it at like low tide, and he was up above and he shot down and you could just see it. It's not just on the edges. It's coming underneath. It's on all the creek beds, whatever. So here's the deal. This harbor has been filling with sand all these years and has never been dredged one time. They dredge every harbor in America. Every single harbor in America has been dredged. Moss Landing, Santa Cruz, Monterey, Humboldt, Long Beach, Santa Barbara, all of Southern California, all of Newport Beach, all of Huntington Beach, Laguna, they've dredged them all. And if you can clean out Long Beach Harbor full of nuclear material, you can clean ours, okay?
Clean Pillar Point.
So here's the deal with my thing. It's not just about dredging sand. It's, first of all, let's make navigation safe. It's getting so shallow it's dangerous for navigation. So let's clear that out. Number 2, if there's pollution in there, let's clean it. Number 3, let's take anything usable that can go over that wall and let's nourish our beaches. You can go talk to the Marsh family or the Deeney family, and they can tell you what the harbor has done to their properties south of town. Yes, Martin's Beach now has a rock wall to protect the homes. They have no beach.
Yeah.
They have no beach because of the harbor. And it just makes me mad because all these people come out of nowhere and they want to fight it. They want to, oh no, and they want to say it's polluted and all this shit. It's not a long-term plan. What do you mean it's not a long-term plan? Every time it rains, the rivers run. You pick up the sand and you put it on the other side of the wall until you want to change the outside wall and do that long-term crazy fix or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a long-term plan if you pick it up and put it over the wall.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you clean, you clear, you make it safe for navigation, you polish our gem of a harbor that we all live around and love, then you nourish our beaches. You save Murata Road. Those Murata Road people, are they out of their minds? They're like, build a half pipe. Let's put more rocks in.
Yeah.
No Murata Road people. You need sand,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You box in that boxy apartment down there and you rock it. And what happens? Right next to it in Miramar, that house Alcatraz falls in the ocean.
Yeah.
Why did that happen? Because you boxed in that thing and all the ocean hits it and goes next to it. It's so silly to me. It's a win, 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 win. You save the highway, you save the homes, you build our beaches back, you get our waves back.
Yeah.
The breakwater used to be a wave destination. Oh, and one more thing. Oh, it would be so terrible to put a triangle of sand over there and build a perfect sandbar, build a perfect point break. We could have a super bank over there.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a life-changing situation for anyone on the coast.
Yeah.
There's my summary.
We'd stop losing our roads. They're already pouring sand slurry back in.
It's
to
nature's
Miramar.
retaining wall.
Yeah.
Long story short, right? Like,
Yeah.
you can't stop nature from being nature.
So
That's-
my biggest question then is, how do you, if someone else wants to advocate and get involved in this, where do they do that? Is there petitions? Do we just keep buying stickers? Is there, how do we become outspoken and help in this cause?
I think it's done. I think we pulled it. Anna Eshoo, before she left Congress, she designated $2.9+ million to the El Granada Breakwater. This just came through. We lost $800,000 from boating and waterways. It was a big disappointment. It was over weird politics, but Anna Eshoo did, I think, the Clean Waters Act, put us as the #1 priority and saw our situation. And according to the Harbor District, the general manager and the harbor master, chief harbor master, and 3 of them came by the OPL like 3 days ago. And they said, it's happening, bro. Good job. They're mitigating the eelgrass for no reason, because whatever, where we live. They're going to move all that crap over by Mavericks. And they're going to start to dredge on the eastern wall, the southeastern wall, and it looks like it's going to happen this summer. They're bidding. We got 2.9 million, and they're bidding, and they're supposed to dredge this summer.
So here's another question with dredging, because there's a couple different methods to dredging a harbor, right? You can dig out the sand manually, put it in trucks, and transport it that way, or there's the barge that they'll bring in, and it sucks up the sand and kind of shoots it out in the direction that they want. I think that's how it is. I could be completely wrong, but do you happen to have any insight as to what mode of transportation they're going to take for the sand?
They were talking about pure excavation, dump trucks and dumping it. There's a rule with the sanctuary, which is stupid, because the sanctuary's given us all these rules and laws that they don't seem to abide by and down in their harbors. So they're giving us all these rules. And I know if someone from the sanctuary would listen to me, they'd be like, oh, he doesn't understand. Well, I do understand, because years ago you said we'll never dredge. So they can go fuck themselves. But anyway,
Hell yeah.
from what I understand, they're going to dump the sand right along the rocks all the way to Turkey Overflow.
Okay. Yeah.
But I did see the plans for a pipe, which I got really stoked on, because they're going to put a pipe in the wall and they're going to pump sand out the pipe, which means they're going to save a lot of money from excavation.
Yeah.
So there is a plan to have a pipe at the bottom of the wall. In the future, we put in like 10 pipes.
Yeah.
And you do like 10 feet, 30 feet, 50 feet,
Yeah.
100 feet, and you build a triangle.
Yeah.
So we can get barreled too.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. The Super Bank in Australia is banking in like $46 million of extra economic money in the community for all the restaurants, surf shops, clothing stores, everything. Like the Super Bank in Australia, they have
Tourism.
Yeah.
tourism.
Yeah.
Why don't we just build ourselves a perfect wave? It's a trade wind, offshore wave, whatever. That's the next step, because that's what I'm going to do next. What I'm going to do next is go, okay, now we're pumping the sand. Can we build a sandbar?
Yeah.
So we can surf, so we can have it's recreation, man. Recreation is huge.
Yeah.
Bigger beaches, save the highway, save the businesses, save Murata Road. Come on, Murata Road, people. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like what are they thinking? Like, I went by Michael Powers' place, that crazy yoga joint with the Sun Studios, and they weren't interested in anything I had to say. And I don't understand. They wanted a half pipe. They tried to put in a half pipe, like an Ocean Beach, San Francisco,
Yeah.
because they don't believe in the sand. They don't believe that the sand will do it. So they're looking for these Band-Aids that ruin the coast.
Yeah.
Dude, let's pump that beach full of white sand so the water never touches the cliffs again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
And then can we
Yeah.
get some public bathrooms?
Now, I don't want to take anything away from the whole dredging the harbor thing, but like the tourism aspect, if they do dredge the harbor and it does create a break, like what you're saying, like look at Bend, Oregon. They took matters into their own hand with the river, and they added concrete underground just to form a river wave so that tourism could increase in their town. Like, we're not asking for concrete in the ocean. We're asking for nature's fucking sand
Yeah.
to create a break.
That's sitting there.
That's sitting there.
That they
It's
want to
just-
like take to the dump.
Yeah. I'm no environmental scientist or anything. I don't understand any of that. But like taking sand that before the breakwater would normally run into the ocean to create banks and create walls around Half Moon Bay to help, like Turkey Overflow is a great example.
It's gone.
It's gone. It's
There used to be a
fucking
road. There used to be a
gone.
road from Turkey Overflow over to the parking lot.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah, and now people are selling their fucking $3 million houses for pennies because they're like, I just got to get out of it. It's going to fall into the ocean.
And there was a big stigma that all the sand was polluted and it was all like clay and silt. And Ryan Seelbach, that's a Maverick surfer that's been in every Mavericks contest as a geologist. And he was telling me this stigma. He was like, no, dude, you'll never dredge. It's gross. It's silt. It's clay. And I go, how do you want your samples? He goes, what do you mean? I go, how do you want your samples? Because you're testing it. You're testing it, motherfucker. You're testing it.
Yeah.
He goes, okay, on this tide, at this negative tide, I want you to go out here, 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 and here. We're going to go here, here, and here. Dig down 4 feet and put each shovelful into the bucket and bring it to me. And I did. Did he call me like 2 weeks later? He's all, bro, you have sand. He goes, you know how good it is? I'm all, how good is it? He goes, it's the EPA's thing is 80-20. They want 80% sand, 20% clay and silt. He's all, if you brought me real samples, you brought me 98.5 by 1.5.
It's filtered by the earth.
Wow.
And the stuff they tested where they're going to dredge is 100%.
Yeah.
It's Montera mountain granite grain.
That's insane.
Wow.
David would be going nuts. He's a big geology guy right now.
This
Yeah.
dude,
Yeah.
where'd he go?
He went to
You
the
got
back.
to take a leak. I'm going to follow. You got to take a leak or anything?
Good.
That's
Okay. I'm going to be
Let's
back.
take a
I'll
breather,
ask you
yes.
this fucking expert. I got to take a leak. All right. We're back. Sorry, we had to take a little bit of a piss break. Also ran down and grabbed. Bio was gracious enough to bring us a bottle of whiskey. Good.
Victor's American whiskey.
Good dude. Good. No, so what? Obviously, you have a daughter, and I just had a question because you've taken, what has it been, 15 years now with OPL, building OPL? 15 years
Yep.
growing,
You nailed it.
building OPL. So what do you hope that your daughter sees later on in life when she's more mature and she's able to appreciate what you've built, the way that you show up for your community? What do you hope that your daughter sees in you?
Well, I don't want her to see me spend a night in the driveway when for some reason I love sleeping in the driveway. It's everything that we've talked about. You know, I have to control myself. I like hanging out with people and I like to drink and I like to party and I like music and I like my friends. And I like to meet new people. Like I love hosting. So I lose my shit a lot. And I don't need her to see her daddy being a total derelict, right? I pride myself in being an El Granada derelict and I always will. But at the same time, we have to raise our kids. So what I want her to see is that I work hard and I care. I give back. And even though mommy gets really mad at daddy, like she is right now, I just want Steele to realize that if you work really hard, you can make great things happen. And I don't care if that's soccer or her school play or skiing in the mountains or whatever it is, that you got to put your time in, you got to pay your dues, you got to work hard. And that's why I've been bartending and why I went back in the kitchen and why I've taken control of the ordering the kegs. And I just wanted to get my hands back on my business. And I want my daughter to see me working hard. And I want to be able to teach her too. Like, I don't want to get so disconnected with it because I'm a successful bar owner. Hey, for years, I didn't do anything. I mean, I always marketed and I always did all the paperwork and I'm always in control and I'm always in there. But I took a few years I was pretty burned out.
Yeah.
You know, and I just focused on the music and had fun with the music acts and going in there and meeting people, you know, and at some point you're like, okay, dude, you got to get back in there. And I want her to see that. And I want her to know and everyone to know and you guys and your dads and my friends and my wife and her family to know that, and my family and my mother and my dad who does my finances, that I'm in it to win it. And I'll clean the toilet and I'll wash the dishes and I'll scrub the floors.
Yeah.
That's really important to me.
Another full circle moment right there, because you're only as strong as your weakest link.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's what makes you such a good leader, is you're not afraid to get your hands dirty and step back in those positions that you already were in at one point. And you might have thought at one point you graduated from it, but you're right back in it.
And that's one thing I think is clear between, I mean, like Chris, I mean, we didn't talk about it when he was on the podcast, but being a small business owner, from the second I started working here, he was pretty clear that there's no job below him, you know, where he's like, he is the one that takes out the trash most of the time. It's taking out the trash. It's the simplest thing. We can hire a 16-year-old to do that. But no, he is the one that's like, I want fresh trash bags twice a week in the trash cans. And like, he's the one that does it. And I mean, that's clearly that, you know, like that's a staple in a small business, is being able to handle all the small aspects of it, because it's what you want. It's the appearance that you want.
I have a gag reflex. So I puke all the time. There's a dead rat or a turd or I'm in the sink I can't describe. And everyone thinks it's so funny. I got tears coming out of my eyes, you know, and I just puked all over myself. And I'm almost not funny. It's not funny.
But it's just like you said when you were doing when you decided to take back over the food, right? If you want it done right, you got to do it yourself.
Yep.
Yeah.
So true.
So on the bar side of things, if you personally could only have one drink, whether it's a beer, a cocktail, for the rest of your life, what are you going with?
Made at OPL every day.
And also we can kind of make this a two-parter, whereas like, what's something on like the special drink menu, on the cocktail menu at OPL, that you are never going to let leave?
So I tried to get Russian River Brewing Company's beer for a long time.
Yeah.
And I called Vinny, the brewer of Russian River, that makes Pliny the Elder and Pliny the Younger and Blind Pig. And I said, hey, man, I got this special place. I know your allocations are all used up. And this is when it was still a novelty, you know?
Yeah.
And
it wasn't at noon.
He said, nope. He's all, nope. And I don't know if I spoke directly to him or not, but they told me no. And I said, well, I just want you to know that you make really good beer. And one day I'd be stoked to have it. And so a couple of years went on and I got the allocation. And I remember walking into the old Princeton Landing. It was a Thursday night. We just got our first keg of Pliny the Elder. I got a couple, but this was like when I finally had it, like pretty much every week, you know. And I made an announcement, not the Younger, the once a year. This is the Pliny the Elder, just the double IPA.
Yeah.
And I looked around at my bar, and everyone was really happy, and it was like I had a rock concert or a reggae show, and it was like a free show, and the place was packed, and everybody had a Pliny the Elder from Russian River Brew Company. And everybody was happy. And I thought to myself, what a compliment to someone that makes something, right?
Yeah.
Like, you just made all these people happy. And I've never told him that. I've never had a chance to look Vinny in the eyes and say, dude, you made my place a better place because everyone was so happy drinking the product that you made. So I've always had a soft spot in my heart for Pliny the Elder. So with that being said, it's going to be an IPA.
Yeah.
But I got to say, my go-to now is Alpha Dankopotamus, and I drink a lot of it.
Yeah.
I drink a lot of these beers, guys.
Yeah.
That's 6 since I've been sitting here of this horse piss. But anyway, Dan Littlefield of Hop Dogma.
Yep.
He makes a
man.
damn good IPA called Alpha Dankopotamus.
Yep.
And I'm going to say right now into this camera that if my go-to for the rest of my life would be a pint of Alpha Dankopotamus by Hop Dogma Brewing Company.
You heard it here first.
Took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah. That's so my dad, not a bar goer. And I remember I had turned 21, and you know, because you guys, you run out of Pliny the Elder, you have it back. You run out, you have it back. And I remember Pliny was on the board, and I just said, Dad, Pliny's here. You got to come. And it's one of the few things that will get him out to the bar with me is when you guys have Pliny on tap, he's there. It's awesome. I mean, because everybody, I mean, it's such like a cult following for a beer. And just the fact that you guys have it on tap is so cool. And it gets so many people to the bar that I feel like maybe wouldn't normally come out to local bar. But if you got Pliny the Elder, they're there.
I waited 10 years to
Yeah.
get it. And
Yeah.
I heard there's other new bars in town that expect it right now. I'll leave them nameless, but I don't want to, but I'll leave them nameless. And they thought they should have it right away. And they actually made a big stink about it. And it was disgusting. I waited a decade to get it.
Yeah.
And I had no problem. And I was happy about it. I had
Yep.
integrity about it. But yeah, I got to say, you know, a lot of people call it the tourist beer. You know, if you go up to Russian River on 4th Street, Santa Rosa,
Oh, yeah.
and you watch the people at the bar, they'll have one, and the bartender's like, one what? Like, that.
12
They know what people want.
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's that beer. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But anyway, with that being said, it is a really good beer, and I feel privileged to have it. It's not a right; it's a privilege.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Vinny.
Yep.
Do you
That's
feel like those types of deals that you might have waited a decade for? Do you feel like having the right energy when you approach those companies is a big benefactor in getting that beer after a decade?
It goes back to what I said about getting all the great bands. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
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 Be cool, man. Pay your bills. Be cool, and be
Yep.
thankful.
And don't get petty.
Yeah, don't
Right.
get petty.
Like,
Yeah.
fuck.
Don't call the rep and email 16 people and be a weirdo because you don't get the beer you want, even though you just opened a bar, right?
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
you do is you be appreciative. There's a lot of good beer
Yeah.
within 60 miles of where we're sitting. Too many good beers. It makes it really difficult to put. I have 16 beers on tap.
Yeah.
and that's not enough. And it's hard to delegate those beers because they're such good beers. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't on our list, but when it comes to Hop Dogma, and honestly, kind of just that building in El Granada where Hop Dogma got its start, they got big enough, they moved into a new spot. Breakwater, they were in there, they got big enough, they got a new spot. Businesses like that. I mean, I know you have close relationships with Hop Dogma, with Wyatt. I mean, you guys have been carrying Hop Dogma for how long now? I mean,
Ever since you started brewing it,
exactly. And
so I don't know.
yeah. But it's just cool that all of these local businesses can have such a close relationship. I mean, like you said earlier, you had hired Wyatt at one point to do the restaurant stuff, and I didn't know that. But I mean,
didn't know that.
all of you guys have been so intertwined for such a long time. It's so awesome to see everybody just kind of like elevate their scale at the same time. I mean, especially you clearly still carry Hop Dogma beer. Their Hop Dogma's brewery is down the street. And, you know, it's not like there's no talk about like stealing sales from one another because you're selling their beer. It's just, it's the beer that people want.
Yeah.
When the catch closed, people came to the OPL and they said, "You must be stoked." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And they're like, "Well, you know, the Harbor Bar and the catch is closed.
Yeah.
You must be stoked. You know, you get all the extra business in them all." I go, I couldn't feel more opposite than what you're saying. I go, I like it when they're firing on all cylinders and the brewery's on all cylinders and Mezzalina's on all cylinders.
Yeah.
And I'm all cylinders and Hop Dogma's on all cylinders. It creates an environment and we're all really busy. The fact that the Catch Joanne is closed, and as far as I'm concerned, it's still closed, is heartbreaking. It's like, it's heartbreaking when first of all, I don't have a place to go. I love going to who doesn't love going to the Harbor Bar?
Yeah.
Belly up, get your elbows on that bar and get a cold bottle of Pacifico, right?
Killer pasta.
Cram into that bathroom.
Dude, cram in that bathroom. Do what you got to do.
No longer.
Do what you got to do in the cooler, in the bathroom, whatever you're doing, but
Yeah.
play the jukebox, you know. But when that place was pumping, I was a happier person. And ever since the Franklin family left, and as far as I'm concerned, it's not there anymore. That took a part of the soul of the coast away.
Yeah.
Because without that place, it's not the same. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a ghost town down there, and it breaks my heart. I bartended there for 25 years. My dad was their accountant for 30 plus years.
You were there for 25 years?
I bartended that bar, dude. I used to work in the city, high volume, at these nightclubs, and I was dating a stripper for a while.
Shout out.
And on Tuesday nights, Gold Club, love the Gold Club. They're still there going strong.
Bringing the chicken.
On Tuesday nights, we bring all the city folk down, and I'd be tending bar at the Harbor Bar, and I would get like 3 girls stripping on the Harbor Bar. I called it, and I remember forgetting to turn off the ceiling fan, and the ceiling fan would be going around, and there'd be Victoria and these girls up on that bar, and they'd be doing their thing. And I'm all, oh shit, turn the fucking fan off. Turn the fan.
So I thought you were going somewhere else with that.
Turn the.
I thought you were going to say it starts stinking up.
We'd have to. I lost my. We'd have to turn the ceiling fan off so their hair wouldn't get caught up in it. But no, just just the fact that what we'd bring there.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. And, the cash register was the boss.
Yep.
And the reason I got fired once. That's another long story. But the reason I didn't get fired more often from there
Talking about second chances, right?
was because the cash register was the boss.
Yeah.
And if you rang the money, that's all. That's all. It's not all you care about. But damn, if the kid's ringing good dough.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't care if his shirt's off and he's got strippers on the bar. Let him do his thing.
Yeah.
Let him go to work.
Yeah. That's awesome.
This is gonna be a hard transition now. Oh man. All right, dude. So we know who you are on
You were 3 years old when that was going on, by the way.
I know. I wish I was there.
Fuck, if he was 3, I was still on my dad's nuts, dude.
Yeah.
You were just a glimpse in your daddy's eye, staring at your mommy across the dance floor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Getting her hair blown in the fan.
Okay.
Shut up.
All right, dude. Well, the first word that comes to my mind when I hear your name. Oh no, it's a good one. It's philanthropist, and I think you go way out of your way to do a lot of things, from putting on and being at local fundraisers, spending time at local sports events, promoting homegrown musicians, and just advocating for small town issues that most people would turn a blind eye to. How do you manage to be so charitable, not just with money, but time and your resources to help our community, local communities, and everyone around us?
That saying, that's why that person's rich. Well, that fucking billionaire saves his pennies and tips $1.
Yeah.
Well, that's why he's rich. Because I don't want to be like that.
It's good.
Period.
Yeah.
I don't really want to be rich. I'm comfortable. My wife's a school teacher. My wife and I make exactly the same amount of money. It's classic. She's a special education teacher over in Menlo Atherton, and I own and run the Old Princeton Landing. And our salaries are dead even, and it's perfect. We're comfortable. We have a home in El Granada. I'm super lucky. Thank you to the Kenny family. But I don't want to be one of those people, right? And I got to say, like, I don't want to be someone begging a bar and restaurant for money when you're a freaking multi-millionaire. You know what I mean? I don't know what is it, what it's all about, right? Like I want to like my community. I want to see the harbor dredged. I want to have good music shows. I want to see everyone successful. I want Wyatt's new place to be epic. I want the new place going over Wyatt's place, your mom's house, to be epic. I want to see a new restaurant down the strip to be great. I want everyone to do well. I want the plumbers and the electricians to do well. I want everyone to do well, and if who wants to live in a place where you're doing great? It just doesn't make sense to me. In my mind, it doesn't make sense to me to do great by myself.
Yeah.
I want that harbor dredge. I want those beaches nourished. I want to see the highway protected. I want to see good waves. I want to see the restaurants open and do really well. I want to live in a thriving community. I want everyone to be happy. I want to be inspired by people.
Yeah.
And that's my motivation.
Yeah. Greed is the thief of joy.
Yep.
Right.
And that's even right now. We're seeing, I mean, even just the last couple of years, the harbor is going off. I mean, just Capistrano Road, whether it's Princeton Avenue, Blue Ocean Brewing, like all these places, it's just a fun place to be. It is, and now it's always been a popular place to go. I mean, tourists have always been drawn to the harbor, buy fish off the boat, buy crab off the boat, whatever it is. It's, for one, that's an insanely cool thing. Not every harbor allows that to happen, buying fish off the boat. And then you add on top that you can go to places like your spot. You can go to Blue Ocean Brewing. You can go to Hop Dogma. You can go to, call it even the Coast to Know. Like there's so many cool places to go in the harbor, and it's only getting better at this point. And I mean, that brings back to exactly what you're talking about when it comes to seeing everybody benefit from this. And it's such a cool environment, and I'm really excited to see the harbor 5 years from now, 10 years from now. I mean, I feel like we're talking about less storage units in that whole area, we're talking about there's going to be less storage units, and there's going to be more cool businesses,
legitimate attractions,
and
right,
of course, ideally owned and operated by locals. But it's just I'm excited to see where it's going, and especially with you kind of spearheading this thing. I mean, you've been a huge advocate for it, and you've run a very successful business that is, I feel like, the integral part to this whole like resurgence of the harbor.
It's the pinnacle.
Thanks.
For sure.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Seriously, it doesn't always feel like that, Breen Hoffman, right? He's like, "You're the only one left, bro." Oh, well, not totally. He's like, "You're the only one left. You're the only game in town."
Yeah. I mean, fuck, it's true. Like, when you're thinking about local businesses, especially in the harbor right now, there's very few people that have been here as long as you have. Born, raised, got beat up by Mad Dog. No, there's very few people that have that are operating a business in the harbor that grew up with the people that are also their customers. And it's really fucking cool to be able to go to a bar with my dad, who has been going there for, I don't even know how long. I don't know. I don't want to know how long.
Since he was about 14.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's really cool to be able to walk in there and be like, fuck, like, and the whole thing is, I don't know, with us, I take pride in what you're doing. So I walk into your bar, have no pool whatsoever, but if somebody or something is happening, I feel obligated to kind of be like, hey, fucking stop, chill the fuck out. Like, I have no reason to feel like that, but I do because it's your place, and it's just really cool. I don't go anywhere else in town, and I feel that same feeling. So it's, yeah.
It is weird. I feel that same association. Just like we have no pull in your business, but it's you feel associated. You feel like you're part of a bigger thing and part of a family when we're around something that you've touched.
Like I don't know when it was. I can't remember the date, but you had the Beatles cover band.
Ticket to Ride. Brandon Robinson. We used to play guns in his neighborhood.
You had that, and it was awesome. It was fucking packed, and it was going off. I remember walking in. I walked in alone because my girlfriend and all of her friends were already there. And I walked in alone, and I had to take a second at the door. And it was packed, and I just walked in. I was like, all right, what the fuck's going on in here? Like I own the place. I don't own the fucking place. But I walked in, I'm like, anything sideways? And then I was like, oh, everything's cool. Oh, these fucking guys are good. And I walked over and joined my girlfriend, and it was just awesome.
I think we're all just so proud of you, dude.
Thanks, man.
In a weird way, because like proud feels, I don't know. The way that I interpret proud, like when my dad tells me he's proud of me, that means something different. My friend's like, I'm proud of you. Like, honestly, what you've done, what you've built is so fucking cool.
Yep.
And you've put your heart and soul into it, and it's just awesome.
And just the person you are.
Yes.
Guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was getting everything ready for Saturday night, and I had my daughter's final play was at Over the Hill, and I knew I had to set up for the reggae festival on 420, the 420 mini reggae festival, and I had the backyard perfect. I had it perfect. I got the shade cloth up. Alex Lau was back there doing his lights. Coast Tribe was doing their sound check. It was so good. It was so painful to leave, to go off and be a dad. You know, most important thing, I had to go be a dad. But it was good. And I knew it was going to be a good night. And they had a great night. And I was really proud of what we had done in the backyard with the backyard container, the beers on tap, the shade cloth was up, the lights were going, the music sounded good. I raked the yard, I watered the plants, I set up the little backstage area, and I put the gas in the gas things, you know, the
heaters.
started the, and I was like, oh, I almost want to have like 10 more beers, smoke a joint, and stay here, but I couldn't, and I walked away, and it was painful to walk away.
Yeah.
And I felt pride, and that was on Saturday. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate what you guys are saying and having me, and I'm not going anywhere, and I think I'm just getting started.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's what we want to hear.
Well, this is a good transition into our last question. But when people walk into OPL, what do you want people to feel when they're walking in, whether it be for a concert in the backyard or inside, whatever, or they're just going in to feel a drink? What do you want them to feel?
Such a good question, because, you know, you want to be a local spot, right? But I just want people to feel the way I want to feel when I go to Australia or Indonesia or Panama or Costa Rica or New York, where my sister lives, or wherever I'm going. I want to walk into a place and I want to feel good, and I want to feel welcome. And I want people to like realize that they're more than welcome. Just don't be an asshole.
Yep.
And you'll be treated with the utmost respect. You'll be treated like a local. You know, you are local if you're cool. It's the people that want to be local so bad that flip out and get weird and cause me problems. But I want people that are cool. I love when I see people that I haven't seen that are coming from, you know, Sacramento or Tahoe or Roseville or Santa Cruz or San Jose. I love those. I call them my regional locals. I want them to feel like they're at home. I want them to feel comfortable. I want them to feel like we have a pretty cool town where we live. I want them to look up at those surfboards and be like, this place is badass.
Yeah.
I want them to like enjoy the beer, enjoy the cocktails, enjoy the local food that Kyle Pemberton and Captain Steve Fitz catches, you know,
Jacoby.
and Porter McHenry and Mike Jacoby grows, and Eric Markegard, you know,
Really immersed
slaughters
in our own culture.
Regenerative beef. Come on.
I want people to appreciate that. I want them to feel comfortable, and I want them to feel like they're in a special place, because they are, and they'll be treated with the utmost respect, and they'll be treated like guests. That's all I want them to feel.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's pretty cool. I don't know if this will be on the podcast, but just bullshitting back and forth. It's pretty cool. I was thinking about it the other day. It's three ways into town, right? You got Devil Slide to the north, Highway 1 to the north, Highway 1 to the south, and 92. That's pretty much it. And I was thinking, I was watching The Last of Us. I was like, fuck, if something like this happened, it's a zombie apocalypse, shit's coming from all over. I was like, I have no doubt in my mind that somebody and their group of friends would blow the fucking shit up so there's no way in, and we would be totally fine. We'd be totally self-sustainable. The harbor would be empty of sand. I'm just
Look at Montero when they shut that down for 9 months that time.
Oh yeah.
I was actually living in Montero, and it was amazing.
yeah.
Montero
I'm
was
sure.
a park.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
There were no perverts on Nude Beach.
dude, we have like all these tools to just be completely self-sustainable, and it's so... My mom used to tell me stories. Her dad was a trucker, so he'd be like, hey Denise, you want to go for a ride? Well, whatever. She'd end up in the big rig with him, and they'd be going over Devil Slide, and he always had, you know, truckers have their binoculars to see what the fuck's going on ahead of them, and they'd be going by Nude Beach, and my mom would be like, Dad, can I see your binoculars? She'd be like, what? Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, hell yeah.
Thanks, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers, man.
That was awesome.
That was
Appreciate
sweet.
you coming
thumbs up.
on. showing some love.
Yep.
Dude, thanks for being so vulnerable too and letting us kind of wax poetically towards the end there.
Yeah.
I know you probably don't like talking about yourself too much, but we wanted to make sure you.
Happy to get it out. I like history.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Thank you for acknowledging that, and I'm always here. So
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
call me
Let's
over
go.
here.
Yep.
We're the Between Shifts podcast. We're all signing off. That was Brian Overfelt. Go to OPL, get a drink, see a show, have a good time. Later.
See ya.
All right. So we just had Brian Overfelt on. What a character.
Yep.
Hell of a business owner. And just what a local. He just wants locals to do good, wants locals to succeed. Dredge the harbor.
Dredge the fucking harbor.
Dredge the fucking harbor. It's like, it feels like it, especially after talking to him, I didn't understand a lot about the environmental side or the construction of the breakwater. But like after talking to him, before talking to him, I've always thought that it was just like pretty straightforward knowledge. Like built a wall. It's
Yep.
obviously going to catch.
It trapped
Sand.
sand.
Yeah.
Put the sand back where it was. Yeah.
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 And then it was really cool to hear him talk about how, like, I say Hazel's, that's Barbara's Fish Trap now, but that was my great grandma and grandpa and great aunt's business. It was called Hazel's. To hear about people surfing in front of there,
Yeah, it's crazy.
So crazy.
so cool, though.
Yep.
So cool. Before the arm was built, and
Yep.
then now, like, moving on, he's like, it's fucked.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you can kind of see it.
It's crazy.
everywhere.
It kind of has it's got something for everyone because it's had so much of the history of Half Moon Bay, and Brian's such a history buff. It's so
Yep.
cool to like listen to him talk about just the history and things that like we don't know and we've lived here our whole lives.
Yep. Well, and it's not only that, it's the fact that it's not just him being like, yeah, dredge the harbor, better waves. It's he clearly knows his shit. He's spent enough time researching it, learning about it, participating in the advocacy for it, that he knows his shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was cool because you can be a douchebag and talk about wanting a better surf break.
Yeah.
But it's another thing to know the last time that they dredged, not even dredged, just built
Yeah.
everything in there.
And they've never dredged it.
Come on. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, he knows his shit. And it's
Yeah.
really cool.
Side note, we all grew up in the same town, and I had such a different growing up experience than he did.
Yeah. That's also really cool to think back on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like just different communities, I guess probably too, but it's crazy him talking about like these communities that he was in growing up, and I was like, well, there's so much going on in Half Moon Bay. We are like so sustainable.
Yeah. We're like our own. That's what I was trying to tell him there at the end. It's like,
yeah,
it's cool because somebody could blow up the 3 fucking entryways into Half Moon Bay, and we would
yeah,
live forever, dude.
Yeah,
We
that's
have
insane.
so many fishermen, so many farmers, so many just small business owners that provide so much to the community that they probably don't even recognize at this moment.
yeah.
But like, if shit went south and we had to sustain ourselves, we're fine.
Yeah.
Like,
The question is, how far south do you block Highway 1?
Very
Is
tunnel.
it right past?
tunnel.
Oh,
Right at the tunnel.
No, south.
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 Oh,
south.
south. It's on north.
But like right at
Verde Road, I
Pescadero.
think.
Pescadero.
Here we go, Pescadero. I guess so.
I
Yeah,
feel like
I think it's Market
You-
Yards.
You want
Yeah.
you want the farmers.
Yeah, no,
as part of that, you know.
It's definitely Pescadero, if not
Yeah.
a little past Pescadero. Now,
that
it's,
lets a lot of inlets. We got 84 and Pescadero Creek Road.
Yeah.
All those letting a lot more.
so then
people
you're
in,
adding
so.
in more inlets, but
Well,
you can blow
no,
'em up.
but then you can block off 35 and you block off Pescadero,
Yeah.
and then you block off
Jeez, at this point,
Kings Mountain roadside. Just
Yeah. at this
screw
point,
you.
just
Still-
give us Santa Cruz,
Yeah.
dude. Come on.
And then
Nah.
every Taco Tuesday, everybody from Pescadero goes to OPL.
yeah,
And then maybe on like Saturdays or Fridays or Saturdays, you go to Duart's.
When me and
Yeah.
David first started hanging out, it was legit probably 15 people going to
Yeah.
OPL every single Tuesday.
Yep.
With legit probably 15 people like that. We all, they were closer to your age, but like people that I didn't know, people from Pacifica, we'd
Yeah.
all meet up. Huge group chat. We had like 20 people. You couldn't add any more.
yeah.
And we would all go to Taco Tuesday every week. It was
It was sick.
unreal.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Kind of crazy too that Brian went to play tennis in college and he could have walked on anywhere.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like our question about where he started to, where he personally can think back and realize where he started to come into his own. I think that's a good question because, like, playing tennis doesn't coincide with being a lead singer in a metal band.
or owning a bar.
But yeah, like there's some sort of transition there, and we found it.
Yeah.
But there was a transition there that really led to who he is today, and it was cool to watch him.
Yeah, I didn't know he was so on his game when it came to tennis.
Yeah.
When he was younger. That was
He's a
crazy.
stud, dude.
We kind of talked a lot about him and like just kept talking him up, but I was like, dude, everything he touches is gold.
Yeah, it's because I honestly, I asked him a question about it at the end there, but he goes towards everything with a good energy, and this might sound pretty fucking hippie-ish, but a good vibration.
Yeah.
Like he's
and also
he's going into everything with good intentions and
a good understanding of what's going on before he gets there too.
yeah, and from learning more about his backstory, I think that goes back to his dad. His dad was a financial advisor. His dad had to know when he's taking over a company, his dad had to understand the backstory to the companies and why most likely they were fucked up financially. And he had to understand those stories, but then he had to have the transition into turning it into his company. And I think he might not admit it, but I think that coincides with the way that Brian is today. I think the transition there happened.
And I think also a big part is when we're asking him about, or he's talking about getting Russian River, and he's talking about getting big artists to perform at OPL and everything like that. He summed it all up perfectly. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's that's kind of perfect. You just got to be genuine. Don't be an asshole. And things went his way.
If you don't have good intentions, the cracks are going to show, dude.
Yep.
Whether you like it or not, at some point, cracks are going to show.
Yeah. It was so cool how vulnerable he was in that whole interview too.
Yeah.
He just came out and just spoke his mind. Said everything he said is true, right? I mean, just talked genuinely.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yep.
Nice. And we're all wearing green shirts today.
Unintentionally. But yeah.
Yeah.
Ian's got our Between Shifts shirt on. If you want a Between Shifts shirt, reach out to us on Instagram. We can get you one for a small price.
Are we selling?
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
Or apply to come on the podcast.
Yeah, if you want one. If you want a shirt, send us a message on Instagram. It's not an application, but just reach out to us and express interest in coming on to our podcast. They're cool shirts. Spend some money on them. We wouldn't charge you for them. We just give them to you if we want to have you on the podcast. Yeah.
We're always appreciating all the comments, likes, and everything else. Constructive criticisms.
Comment, like, subscribe. I'm just kidding. No. Cool. We're Between Shifts podcast. Thanks for listening to us ramble. I hope you enjoyed B.O. He's a hell of a character, hell of a business owner, hell of a dad, hell of a husband, everything. All right. Peace out.
Cheers.
Adios. Later. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Once again, we're brought to you by Bikeworks HMB, your one-stop shop for bike service, sales, and rentals in Half Moon Bay, California. Whether you're on the mountain, road, or low on battery, Bikeworks HMB has your back. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to help support this podcast, please feel free to reach out to us at betweenshiftspod@gmail.com. The link will be in the description. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. GT signing off.